Been in Congress 5 years, running for re-election for a 4th term. Thank you to the many people who sent me to Washington with a mandate from the people to affirm that black men deserve to grow old, that abortion care is health care, that you shouldn't have to have a lifetime of debt for pursuing higher education, and that President Biden could cancel that bad boy, that every child deserves a future from Massachusetts to Haiti to Gaza. I want to continue to do this work to close the racial wealth gap, to improve our disparate health outcomes, and to give us what I think should be entitlement. Joy.
Well,
joy should be an entitlement. So
you bring me
polls
joy.
Close at 8 p.m.
Thank you. You bring me joy, and I appreciate you. I adore you. You know I'm always a fan, but mostly I consider you a sister. So thank you.
Back at you. So proud of you. Vote. Yes. Today you can vote for United States Senator. You can vote for your member of Congress, your state senator, and clerk of courts. Clerk of courts, and also governor's council. So make sure you vote today, Tuesday, September 3rd. Polls close at 8 p.m.
Yes. Where can people find a policy is my love language t-shirt? Because I don't have one. And
we'll work that out. www.ayanapresley.com. We got all the merch.
Okay, love
We got
that.
all the things.
Yes.
Something to watch this space. I'm working on the issue of book bans. I have legislation called Book Save Lives.
Oh, okay.
So, we're engaging, Frugals, Congressional Black Caucus, ALC. Mm-hmm. We'll have to call in and tell you what's going on with that because we definitely want folks to come through. Okay, but...
and we'll definitely have you back on. And just so you know, if you plan to return your ballot in person instead of mailing it, there are dedicated drop boxes all across the city, including at City Hall, and you have until 8 p.m. on election day to drop off your ballot. Thank you, girl.
Okay, yeah, we want to get that all the way together. All right, thank you, Spark FM.
So
thank you, Politics and Prosecco. Even though we're drinking water because it's the middle of the day.
Well,
okay. All right.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you in 2 minutes. Thank you, Tristan.
You're listening to Spark FM. Online.
You are enjoying the miracle of radio.
New England's #1 urban Caribbean music. Radio.
Spark FM.
JP Morgan Chase is making a global commitment to break down barriers to drive inclusive economic growth all over the world. We believe there is a pressing need to help more people move up the economic ladder. That is why we are investing in communities and people to create an economy that works for all, because no community should be left behind. Right here in Boston, we're focusing that work in Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan, among other neighborhoods, on improving financial health. These efforts aim to address the key drivers of the racial wealth divide head-on. We're here to empower individuals, families, and small businesses by connecting them to the tools that build generational wealth and a long-lasting legacy. Chase is investing in Boston. Chase is investing in you. Visit us at the Mattapan branch at 1617 Blue Hill Avenue, where the team is waiting to help.
In our democracy, your vote matters. Make your voice heard. Get registered. Seek out reliable reporting on the candidates and issues, and vote on or before November 5th. Visit vote411.org. This message is furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Finally Home is a must-read step-by-step guide that will equip any first-time home buyer with the knowledge they need to confidently make informed decisions. This book provides answers in simple and clear terms to most, if not all, of the questions you may have about credit, home ownership, and generational wealth. Finally Home equips the reader with the confidence to be engaged with the home buying process without feeling vulnerable or exploited. Tailor-Made Real Estate Easy is not just a catchy hashtag. It is real estate agent and radio personality Taylor Andre's goal. A goal to simplify one of the most challenging processes you will go through as an adult. A goal to educate you properly on credit and teach you the strategies to finding the home of your dream. It is not just a good book or an easy read. It is the secret to a seamless home buying experience.
FM.
Wheezy boy, make me dance. Daddy, oh, make me dance.
Igniting the airwaves. Spark FM.
Join us on Facebook and Instagram at sparkfmonline.com.
Turn us up.
Tell me how you want it, yeah. Call me and I'm over.
Spark FM.
You're listening to Spark FM. Online.
Welcome back to Politics and Prosecco. Was that not a testimony from the congresswoman? Listen, y'all, when she gets going, I feel like I might have to run. She makes it very easy to be not only involved and engaged, but seriously, like, she is such a force. And before I introduce our next guest, I do want to mention, because I would not be a very good AK if I did not. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Epsilon Gamma Lambda Chapter is hosting a 2024 U.S. presidential debate and watch party on September 10th at Savor. Doors open at 8 p.m. Debate starts at 9 p.m. So ski fi to my brothers over at Alpha Phi Alpha. And here we are in the third segment of our show here, Primary. And I am so honored to have Miss Maura Dolan, who is running for Governor's Council in the Spark FM studio here on Politics and Prosecco. And let me just tell you why. When nobody was really paying attention to me and paying attention to the things, Maura was always I would say a fan.
Absolutely.
In the way where it's just so empowering and you were always so supportive. So to see you run, I'm very excited for you. I am rooting for you, of course. And I'm so glad to welcome you onto Politics and Prosecco. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
Well, first of all, Jacquetta, the honor is mine. I have always admired your work. From the very first time I saw you speak, I instantly thought, who is that woman? She's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And a friend of mine from Rhode Island was watching your show the other week, and she kept texting me, she's so good. And you are.
Thank you.
You are
The
finest.
Thank you.
So yes, I'm Maura Dolan, and I am running for governor's counselor. If you care who our judges are, you need to care who your governor's counselor is, because the governor's council confirms judges, parole board members, and commutations and pardons. I'm a public defender. We've never had a public defender on the governor's council, and I think that's a perspective that is badly needed and badly overdue.
It's like the year of the public defender, because
Allison
Cartwright was
a
a public defender as well. And so she is running for clerk of court.
Yes.
Sorry, I have the hiccups, everybody.
That's okay. That's okay.
I don't know
You're
where
perfect.
that just came from.
No, you're perfect.
But so I am extremely excited to hear that you are a public defender, because I think that gives a different window from somebody who's in private practice.
Completely.
And especially for this. So why are judges important?
Oh, judges have an incredible amount of power and an incredible amount of discretion. That's
and they're
why
appointed here.
They are. Well, they're nominated by the governor, and then the nominations are given to the governor's council, and it's the governor's council that has the final say on whether someone becomes a judge, or a clerk magistrate, or a clerk. The governor's council is the gateway to the entire judicial branch. You don't get in without going through the governor's council. So think about how much power that is and how much responsibility it is.
Yes.
And my clients as a public defender are among our most vulnerable and therefore the most impacted by the decisions of the governor's council.
What's the makeup of the governor's council? How many people is it?
There are eight.
People.
Each district is larger than a congressional district. It's 5 state Senate seats. So I have 31 cities and towns in my district.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot.
So talk us through the process. So the governor says, hey, I want to nominate, I don't know, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
We're going to nominate Michael Jackson.
It actually starts before then, because the governor appoints a judicial nominating commission, and they review applications.
I see.
The vetting process is pretty thorough. So
it should be.
Yes, it should be,
Yes.
Exactly. But we want to make sure that the people who are doing the vetting share our values.
Okay.
And that's really a lot of what this campaign is about.
Yep.
So the Judicial Nominating Commission reviews applications. They then make recommendations to the governor. The governor then nominates, if she chooses to, and it's the governor's council that vets and votes on the nominations.
I see. Okay. And so from there, then the people get to, like Kim Budd had to go through this process, correct?
Right.
Okay. So that is how judges get appointed,
Yes.
and then they go off to do.
And then they
Who
serve.
holds them accountable? Is that part of the governor's council?
No, it's not. But that's a really important issue because the standard for removing a judge is very, very high.
Okay.
And there is nothing at present between nothing and that incredibly high standard for removal.
Yeah.
So I do think we need to look at that and see whether, because, everybody else who has a job has some kind of a performance review.
Yeah.
And certainly if you're an elected official.
As you should.
Right? You have to be reelected, right? So judges get appointed and they have a mandatory retirement age of 70, but, they're probably not going to go anywhere. There isn't anything at present between nothing and removal, and that's not right.
So what's the difference between you and your opponent, Marilyn Devaney?
There are some huge differences. I'm, first of all, a public defender. I've been working in our courts.
I'm sorry, she's currently sitting on the governor's council.
She's been serving for 25 years as governor's counselor.
Wow, 25
Right,
years.
right.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't have a legal background. And there have been governor's counselors who didn't have a legal background who were very good governor's counselors. Eileen Duff, for example.
Oh my God, I love Eileen.
Eileen Duff is phenomenal. But
love
here's what
her.
you need to know about Eileen. She has multiple advanced degrees. She has a master's,
She's
and I
brilliant.
think she's brilliant. She's also scholarly.
She is.
She's
a
scholarly.
historian too.
Yes, so she knows how to analyze. She knows how to research. She's quite meticulous.
Yes.
So,
That's a lot for somebody who stands 4 foot alone.
I know. And by the way,
She's so tiny.
She's up for election today. She stepped
She
down from
is.
the governor's council. She's running for Register of
That's
Deeds.
right.
So
That's right.
I wish her very well in
Yes,
that.
same do I.
But I do think that somebody who's working in our courts and sees what's happening there is essential. For example, one of the issues that I talk about a lot is how we treat people with a substance use disorder in our courts.
Okay.
The science is very clear. Addiction is a disorder of the brain. It's a chronic recurring disorder of the brain that does not respond to negative consequences.
Okay.
It's a disability. Now, though relapse is not a crime, it's often a condition of release, either bail or probation. Most judges that I see, when someone violates that condition of release by using something they've been ordered not to use, they send them to jail. Jacquetta, the science is also very clear that is the single most harmful thing that we can do. It isolates people, it takes them away from their families, their communities, jobs and homes they may have fought very hard to get, treatment that they're already getting. Instead of tearing people away from everything that they have, we need to figure out where their line in defense against their substance use disorder was weak.
Yes.
And make that stronger. We are, in essence, punishing people for having a disability. And so, as governor's counselor, I'll make sure that judges understand the science of addiction and know how to work to support recovery. And the only reason I know all this is because I'm a public defender and I'm in court and I see what's happening there.
Yeah. And I think it's important that we talk about that because a lot of, I'm not going to say all crime, but a lot of crime, people do have a history of mental imbalance.
It's most of it. It's most of it, Jacquetta.
Yeah.
It's mental illness, it's substance use disorder.
Trauma,
all those things.
And
yes.
what's interesting is that, the former occupant of the White House, Donald Trump, made fun of people with disabilities and talks about mental health as if it's just something that you still put up in the attic. You used to hide that person in the attic.
It's
Don't
horrifying.
let Uncle Donald down.
Right.
And, then we're not talking about mental health in a way where it directly affects people. So I think that that's important. But what I will say is, how do you, if I'm a voter today,
yes,
why is that important to me? If I don't have mental health at the forefront of my issues, or I don't know someone with mental health, why should they come out and vote for you?
Because who our judges are matters, which means that who approves our judges are matters. So we've got to make sure that whoever is doing that, you need to make sure if you're voting that the person you're voting for shares your values.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my values are that our justice system needs to not be a punishment system. We need to stop equating justice with punishment.
Yeah.
We need a more enlightened judiciary so that ultimately we are in fact more just and more fair. And I always tell people public safety has to come first. I am not naive. I have seen a lot. There are people who need to be behind bars. There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of folks who don't.
Yeah.
We are imposing, our courts are imposing sentences that are unduly harsh, that make things harder, that do not aid in rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And really, what we want, and I can tell you, my clients, pretty much without exception, they understand what's going on in their lives.
One of the things
they want to make them better.
One of the other things that people are talking about are juvenile court judges.
Yes.
Where do you stand on those?
I believe I've represented hundreds, maybe thousands of children in our juvenile courts. I was thrilled when the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court made us the first state in the country to hold that a sentence of life without the possibility of parole is unconstitutional for those under 18.
Okay.
And they cited the science of brain development, which is very well established. When you're 17, 16, 15, 21, you simply don't have the same judgment. You don't have the same judgment. You can't assess risk at the same rate. You are more susceptible to peer influence, and you have a greater capacity for change.
Gotcha.
Now, big difference between my opponent and myself is that she called the science of brain development just pages in a book. It's not. It's proven science.
Yeah.
And this is what I've seen from all the children that I've represented in our, and emerging adults.
Yeah. Well, you know, so here, this is where I get a little shady because.
Nah.
I know. Ayana just told me I wasn't shady.
No, you're not. You're not.
But so here's the thing. I feel like a lot of times the what you're going to see now are people talking about term limits.
Yes.
And we just saw this with people talking about how old the president is and that he couldn't effectively do his job.
Right.
And that's going to lead to a conversation of term limits. 25 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
I don't think anybody's effective in their job after 10 years. And I don't mean that they're not adding value, but certainly you're not coming up with new ideas. You become the institutional person on the team. And
Well,
it's like,
I have to say, as someone who has worked for Ed Markey, who's certainly served for 25 years, and he's wonderful, and he endorsed me. I worked for Secretary of State Bill Galvin's campaign. He's also worked for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
But he's doing a wonderful job. So I really think it's about whether the person is doing the job that they need to do. And if you look at the story about the 4 incumbent governor's counselors who endorsed me, they spoke very plainly and said, she's just not doing the job, and the district does not have the representation that it deserves.
yeah. So here we are. It's election day.
It is.
And I'm sure you have a ton of things to do. You made time to come here and bless us
Of course
with your
I did.
presence.
Anyone would. Anyone
well, good.
anyone
I'm
with
glad.
a
Listen,
brain would make time for this.
Yes.
Well, yes.
But also, I think it's important that people. We just talked about representation with the congresswoman.
Oh, she endorsed me too, by the way, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Where people, I don't see many folks who look like me on the governor's council. And so
That's a
I think
problem.
that's why it's definitely a problem, but I also think it's why people just aren't paying attention. But I want to say, just for having followed you for the last few months and seeing the work that you're doing, and you're out there and you are getting endorsed by some really great people who are also doing the work. But representation matters. So if you can just talk to communities of color and just say why you would be the person that would have their interests at heart too, that it's not just because you have to, there's a different conversation that many electeds have to have with communities of color. There's a lack of trust. And so
understandably,
it's like any relationship, right? If I don't trust you anymore, I'm not going to want you to come around me. I'm not going to want so, and we oftentimes don't see a lot of people until it's election time.
Right.
So what would you say to communities of color who say, well, you don't look like me and we're all about representation these days, and how do I know you're going to appoint black and brown judges or black, brown, and AAPI judges, and that you're going to make sure that our needs and our assessments, because we are unfairly treated in courts.
There's no question that you are.
Yeah.
Our racial disparities are below the national average in Massachusetts.
Oh, I believe
we're worse. We're below the national average in allegedly progressive Massachusetts.
Alleged.
So first of all, as a white person, I'm always careful to let people know that when I talk about race, I'm aware that I may not talk about it in the way that I should. So if I say something in a way that needs to be said better, please let me know. I'm doing the best that I can.
You and I have had conversations.
We have. I'm a public defender. I've worked with communities of color for years.
Yeah.
And I tell white people, if you have not, you do not understand how bad it is. They don't get it, Jacquetta. I'm telling you. They think it's bad, but they have no idea how bad it is.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that I do get it. I do see how bad it is. And this is also a little risky because I don't know whether this is going to be helpful or not, but it's true. My family of origin is all white, but we are no longer all white. We are now white, black, Filipino, and Native North American.
I think that is important, though.
Thank you. Somebody said to me, oh, that doesn't make any difference. I actually think it does.
No,
when
I think it
Trayvon
does.
Martin could have been your nephew, yes, it hits you harder. It hits you differently.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
So I'm
I think
proud of that
the way
diversity in
it
my
can
family.
be couched, some people feel like, oh, well, it's like the I have black friends thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way you were saying it. I think what you were
This
saying
is my family.
I can now relate to the harm that is done. It may not directly affect me or affect my privilege, but the person that I love, it certainly could.
No
so
question.
that's how I take it when
That's
I hear
how
that.
I mean it.
Yeah.
This stuff hits you differently when it could be your family.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to say, I mean, it's always, I'd like to be able to say that I would have always had this level of awareness, but I don't know that I would have, but it is, and I am proud. I am very proud of that.
That's what I love most about you is that you oftentimes take accountability. Like, I don't know everything, but here's what I do know. So, and I think that's important. To me, that's what makes the difference between you and a lot of different, you and your opponent, but also what is important to this time when you're running in an election where everything is up for grabs and everybody absolutely needs to hear that you can relate.
Well, the other thing folks need to know that you can't guess by looking at me, I've been supporting myself since I was 18 years old.
Tell that story.
I came to Boston. I did not even have a high school diploma. Okay, I had to support myself. Fortunately, I had secretarial skills so I could get work. But I got a GED. I managed to get through college. I finished college as a single mother. I went through law school as a single mother. I literally starved my way through college as a single mother. I lost 25 pounds without trying. I understand.
So sad for you.
No. But I was hungry, Jacquetta. But I was hungry.
Yeah.
I was hungry. And I mean, so I understand my clients. I understand, when a judge is yelling at my client because they haven't paid a court-ordered counsel fee of $150, I understand what $150 means to my client.
That's right.
In a way that the judge does not.
Yeah. Did you want to be a judge?
No.
Never, really?
No.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, I'm not good at sitting.
As you're standing now?
I wouldn't want to sit all day. Yeah, exactly. I'm standing right now. I wouldn't want to sit all day. I like interacting with people. And I also think that being a judge is very difficult. I think it's very difficult because judges are limited by what the law allows them to do. So even if you do have a particularly enlightened judge, the law may not permit them to do
Sure, they have to stay within
what
the boundaries
they want
of the law.
to do.
Right.
So I think I think it can be very challenging.
So for me, I used to date a guy who was a lawyer who's now a judge in Illinois, and so it's a different system there.
Yes.
But I actually reached out to him. I want to say maybe it was last year around Thanksgiving. And, we would just exchange text messages. Hey, happy Christmas, blah, blah, blah. But I reached out to him and I said, listen, our judges here are appointed. What is the difference? What do you see as a difference? And he said something really important. He said, when you have to run for the office, you appreciate it a little bit more than being appointed, because if you're appointed, it's like the Supreme Court, like I'm there for the rest of my life. And, and I thought that was important because it does feel like if I have to work for it, then I appreciate my father, when I wanted to buy a car, my first car, I had to work for the summer. Now, granted, I did work in the Hamptons. So,
Okay. You poor thing. You poor thing.
So I worked that entire summer, and my father said, you'll appreciate your car more because you have to buy it yourself, as opposed to my dad could, my mom and dad could absolutely afford to buy me a car, but I did appreciate that car more. But I made sure it was always gassed up. I made sure I maintained it. I made sure, because it was mine.
I hear all that, but I'm really concerned about judges who will make decisions based on what they believe will be popular and aid in their reelection. So if you have a very high-profile, controversial case, and don't forget, people get wrongfully accused. Suppose someone has been wrongfully accused, but the public is clamoring for a conviction. I would not.
We just saw that with Karen Reed.
You know it, and I would not want a judge making a decision based on whether they thought it would hurt or help their reelection.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for saying that for sure. I think also as we wrap, because it is primary day, give your appeal to voters, but also if you can just tell us what your thoughts are around Kamala Harris and this historic nomination. And then if you want to end it with an appeal for voters, happy to have that done.
I am so happy and overjoyed about Kamala Harris being our nominee. I am so incredibly proud of our country. So grateful to Joe Biden. I was just saying.
Are you happy it's a lawyer again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I knew it.
I am. Though she's a former prosecutor and I'm a defense attorney, so it's a slight different perspective. But I will say, if you're an attorney, if you're a criminal lawyer, it's very helpful in running against someone who makes false statements because you know how to deal with them, right?
Yes.
So good for Kamala.
Right.
I'm also because I think that Joe Biden saved us from Trump once, and then he saved us from Trump again.
Yes.
Which is really...
He made the ultimate...
I mean, he did a lot of other things, but, so I'm incredibly grateful to Joe Biden. I love what Kamala's popularity, for lack of a better word, support. I love what that says about our country and about our core values.
Yeah.
So I feel that her candidacy is reaffirming the strengths of our country and what we stand for. And so everybody feels better, partly because we're walking around and we know that there are more people who agree with us who disagree. And I run into Republicans on the campaign trail and I say, I love you as a fellow American. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I think that Kamala is making it facilitating, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
More
quick
yes.
question on that though. Who do you think she should pick for Attorney General? I already have my pick.
Oh, who's your pick?
It's the lady from New York. It's the Attorney General of New York.
Oh, Letitia James.
Yes.
She is something.
I'd be like, I'm okay with that.
She is. And there's talk about Maura Healey being considered to be Attorney General.
And as much as I love Maura, I'm still voting for Letitia. Like,
I'm not expressing an opinion on this one. I love Maura too.
Maura knows.
And I'm running to be her governor's counselor. So,
No, I love Maura, and she would make a great attorney.
No question.
But I'm like, I'm playing right now. I have a little bingo card in my bathroom in my master suite. Like there's a bingo card of like people I want on the cabinet.
It's so exciting.
It is, and I have to thank my friend Shalaire Armstrong for giving me this idea. Because I made a little bingo card and I was like, oh, and every day I look at it and it's just filling up with different people. I've essentially picked the entire cabinet.
Oh, good for you.
Call me President Harris because I have some ideas for you.
I'm sure that
But why don't you make
Harris
your appeal to your voters?
So my appeal to my voters is that if you care who our judges are, you need to care who your governor's counselor is. We have never had a public defender on the governor's council. It is a perspective that is badly needed and badly overdue. Look, the judges in our trial courts, our public defenders who are serving as judges in our trial courts are outnumbered 2 to 1.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about what defendants are facing when they walk into a court of law? We simply have to have more balance. And the district is huge. So if you're in Newton, Brookline, Arlington, parts of Boston, I have Fenway, Back Bay, Beacon Hill, Alston, Brighton. Go to maradolan.com, find out if you're in my district. Jacquetta, you are just delightful in person, as I knew you would be. And I thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. I hope this is not the last time that you come back on.
No.
We'd love to have you.
You and I are both going to have more to say. So we're not going to run out of things to say.
Yes. Yeah. We can take our DMs to the air.
It's
a lot of back and forth. So thank you for coming on. Again, everybody, reminder that today is primary day. Please, please, please get out to vote. If you have not voted yet, please make a plan to vote. Both polls are open until 8 p.m. And Ms. Dolan, we will see you back on Politics Prosecco. Best of luck today. Best of luck today. Best of luck today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody, we are wrapping up our final segment soon. So I am going to remind you all that you can tune in, call in, and follow me on Instagram at politics_and_Prosecco on Instagram. And of course, you can follow me on Facebook as well. See you in 2 minutes.
Broadcasting live worldwide. This is
Spark FM.
In our democracy, your vote matters. Make your voice heard. Get registered. Seek out reliable reporting on the candidates and issues and vote on or before November 5th. Visit vote411.org. This message is furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Often I hear people talking about how high their electricity bills are. Massachusetts has programs that everyday homeowners pay for, but never look into. Have you ever considered why some homes have panels and others don't? If you have Eversource, National Grid, or Unitil for electricity, you are paying for your neighbors to get panels at no cost. The charges are on the bill. Why not get someone to pay for yours? This program also helps with re-roofing, tree cutting, and electrical upgrades. If you're tired of short-term solutions for a long-term problem, connect with Bakari to find out if your home meets the requirements to upgrade at no cost out of pocket. Save the planet, future-proof your family for power outages, and save tens of thousands of dollars on an otherwise lifelong bill. Mention Spark when you call or text SPARK to 617-833-8940 to get 2 months off your power bill covered if your home gets selected.
Hi, Grandma. Can Nina come over for dinner?
Sure. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
If anyone ever does, I want you to say, no, I have too much respect for my family and I don't want to get in trouble.
I promise, Grandma.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
Spark FM.
Perhaps I was addicted to the dark side. Somewhere inside my childhood when this my heart died. And even though we both can't.
Igniting the airwaves. Spark FM.
I mean, I stop love how they got them flex. Pay and close and make a next gal fix. Me no stop love how they.
Join us on Facebook and Instagram at sparkfmonline.com.
Turn us up.
Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling.
Spark FM.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
In our democracy, your vote matters. Make your voice heard. Get registered. Seek out reliable reporting on the candidates and issues and vote on or before November 5th. Visit vote411.org. This message is furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Spark FM.
Wheezy boy, make me dance. Daddy, oh, make me dance.
Igniting the airwaves. Spark FM.
Join us on Facebook and Instagram at sparkfmonline.com.
Turn us up.
Tell me how you want it, yeah. Call me and I'm over.
Spark FM.